Hello everyone, welcome back to Studioloo. So today we're going to continue to wander with Beatrix Potter. So I got both of these sealed. I think I told you about them in the last video. I got the books fully sealed, so these are, fully protected. So I'm trying to decide now if these books, so I want to kind of look at the richness of Beatrix Potter's life, and this could be her early life and her later life or not. I don't know. It'll form over time, I think. I'm not going to necessarily plan too hard. I did get a few things put into the books yesterday. This is just beautiful, and it's a big piece of stationery. It's going to tuck inside the front end papers that I created for this book. So, this will set the tone if I do want to make this kind of her younger years, because there are some more of those similar kind of pages of her a little bit older in the book we're going to look at today. Some new things that I did in these books are, not in this signature, but I cut up that fabric in the last video. I backed it and created some pockets with it. So we have a few fabric pockets now in these books. So that's one. I think I put like one in each signature. There's another one stitched on a little squirrel nutkin there. I just kind of went into each signature and added something. Maybe not each one, but most of them, I think. Not that one. Maybe I didn't go through the whole entire book, maybe I didn't. I think it was maybe only half. Oh yeah, it was only half of all three. What am I thinking? Because I'm working, with all the things that I'm putting in these books, I'm sort of spreading it between three books, right? And so in this one, I did the same. Oh, I made the end papers for this one. I did that yesterday. Same method. And I really love how they turned out. I used the exact same method. And then in here, I added this large pocket, fabric pocket. I think that's all I did in this signature. Yeah, I just kind of went through each of the folios and added a pocket here and there. Not in this one. Yeah, another one in this one. This little one. So you'll see bits and bobs of fabric. This is another fabric pocket. I stitched a little mouse here. What else? Oh, here, this one. This stitched on little mouse. And then this one with this stitched on little bunny scene. So I still have lots of work to go. We're still very much in the beginning stages of these books. I'll also show you the little one, and then we'll jump on into this. This is something else I'm going to show you in a moment. So then in the little book, I did the same thing. So you saw this yesterday. We added this. Did I do anything else in here? I don't think, not in this one. I kind of moved on to the next signature knowing I'd already done something in that first one. So this little bird here is a fabric pocket. And this little pocket, so cute. I'll rearrange all these pages after. They're all ups and downs and all over the place. This is a little tuck spot here with the fabric. Another little pocket with the fabric. And then another little stitched on rabbit here with the fabric up top on that pocket. Possibly one more in here. No, I didn't do that one. Okay. So that's where we are with the fabric pockets having been added. That was the most of what I did yesterday, the end papers and the fabric pockets. We have more fabric to work with. Excuse me. So I wanted to show you this book. I'm not cutting this book up. This is a book that I got some time ago called A Celebration of Beatrix Potter, Art and Letters by more than 30 of today's favorite children's book illustrators. And I thought I would share a little bit of this book with you throughout this series. it's essentially like a nice little write-up of how Beatrix Potter, impacted different artists and that sort of thing. So there's a whole bunch of artists that are mentioned in here, as well as the stories themselves that are in the book. So maybe I can just read a little bit of it to you to tell you about it. With the publication of her first book, Beatrix Potter changed the world of children's literature forever. Since 1902, Potter's oeuvre has influenced generations of authors and illustrators, intertwining her legacy into their own. To celebrate the 150th anniversary of Potter's birth, 32 of today's favorite children's book author illustrators share what she has meant to them. Inspired by their favorite tales and characters, these notable and award-winning artists reinterpret Potter's world in new and exciting ways. Introductions of the tales in this book: Peter Rabbit, Squirrel Nutkin, the Tailor of Gloucester, Two Bad Mice, Mrs. Tiggywinkle, the Pie, and the Patty Pan, Mr. Jeremy Fisher, Jemima Puddle Duck, and Mr. Todd are presented in chronological order by publication date alongside her original illustrations. This tribute, we hope, will serve not only as a way to honor Beatrix Potter, but also as a source of inspiration for future generations of authors and illustrators. Thank you for joining us as we celebrate the amazing storyteller Beatrix Potter, the stewards of Frederick Warren & Co. So that was the publisher who eventually picked her up after she self-published, which is how she got her start in the publishing world. So I talked a little yesterday about how the Victorian publishing era was quite a turbulent, exciting time, because the paper tax had also just been cut. Like, there was no more tax on paper, so things were quite easy to, or financially easy to print, right? So yeah. So we begin with Melissa Sweet, and I love her beautiful illustration. Very much feels like junk journal-y to me, with this little label here. Very interesting. So I'll read you today what Melissa Sweet had to say. It is all the same, drawing, painting, modeling, the irresistible desire to copy my beautiful object which strikes the eye. Any beautiful object that strikes the eye. Why cannot one be content to look at it? I cannot rest. I must draw. Beatrix Potter. Beatrix Potter was a naturalist from the age of 9. She grew up at a time when cataloging and recording the natural world merged art and science. Potter kept pet lizards, newts, snails, rabbits, and mice, and drew them as they moved, slept, and sat. In her stories, we meet Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, as well as scientifically rendered mosses, flora, fauna, and fungi. Potter's passion for observation led her to studying lichens under a microscope. In my opinion, some of her most brilliant work. I love her microscope images. She discovered that lichen was not, as previously thought, just an alga, but both an alga and a fungi living together in a symbiotic relationship. And as she was an untrained scientist and a woman, the scientific community didn't take her discovery seriously. She was discouraged but not yet deterred. 5 years later, she self-published The Tale of Peter Rabbit. Her accurate renderings made her miniature worlds plausible. Peter Rabbit's tiny red slippers could only fit a rabbit's foot. The lettuces are as big as the rabbits. The mice hide under the teacups. In response to Kenneth Graham's The Wind in the Willows, when Mr. Toad combs his hair, Potter wrote, "All writers for children ought to have a sufficient recognition of what things look like." And I'm like, is that snide or is that not snide to say that a toad had hair? I don't know, but I always laugh when people kind of like snub each other in these innocent ways, like these very petty kind of ways, especially in academia. It's quite humorous. Beatrix Potter's art reminds us that the essence of good drawing is drawn from life, and that's absolutely true. I would argue not everyone has the ability to draw from life in the way that our renowned, Victorian ladies and Edwardian ladies did, right? We don't all have the time to sit in a meadow for a whole day or for several days to observe in the way that we did. I recently had a conversation with my good friend Mary Ellen at Red Parrot about she's been working on an Edith Holden style journal for herself of her own work, and I think she really opened up for me some feelings things about, like, you know, what is the value of our own art? It's the same value as that of Beatrix Potter or Edith Holden. The important part of it is that's your signature. So it's kind of like, if you feel like you're embarking on trying to paint a daffodil and you don't think it's very good, it's okay, because it's a nature journal. It's your observation journal. It's a field kind of note guide, right? And also, I think as an artist, our eye always sees our work differently than everybody else. And I can tell you myself, I spend silly amounts of money on, old handwritten journals and like little books drawn by kids probably 50 years ago or something like that. So these things, like, if value is important, and that's a separate question, it's kind of like, how do we determine it, right? I think just like body image, which humans, especially women, we've been taught since the beginning of time to struggle with how our bodies look, how they change, how they function, what they do, what they don't do. It's the same with how we value our intellect, especially anything where our expression comes out, our essence and who we are. And that is 100% art that does that, right? I think in anything else, your work, your sport, whatever else, it's pretty similar to everybody else, with some differences. But like the way that your hand, or your foot or your mouth may paint or do things is going to be different than everybody. It's like your fingerprint, artistically. And I think learn to fall in love with yourself, your body, and learn to fall in love with your mind, because it is a heck of a thing to waste, right? It's a pretty big gift. I think it's maybe the biggest gift that we get outside of this planet in our lives. So this work is really lovely to me. Now, of all impossible things to draw, the very worst is a fine fat fungus. So yeah, I think, as I was saying, like, we're not Edwardian ladies. We have jobs, we have things like this that we have to do. So I'm a big proponent of drawing from life or photography, or even better, other illustration. They're very different. I also recommend, picking a flower and setting it on your desk and studying it, looking at it in different light, that kind of thing. You really find that, like, you'll learn from that. And do sketch after sketch. If it's just personal study, if you're just having fun, you'll be surprised at the end what you come out with. I look back to my high school, sketchbooks where we're drawing, kids in our classrooms. And then, as I got older, you're drawing like nudes and you're drawing things like that as you progress through school. And at the time I was like, oh, this is such a terrible rendering. But now I look back and I'm like, wow, like, these were my Leonardo moments. Like, look at these drawings with so much, like, woo, these are great. And I feel good about it. And so you should, it's a good thing. So then, we have here the tale of Peter Rabbit. They talk about, how Peter Rabbit got started. And then it gives you an excerpt from the tale of Peter Rabbit with those beautiful drawings. I'll read you one more from this book. This is Peter H. Reynolds, and look at this sweet drawing. My mum, who was born in London, as was Beatrix Potter, gave me a copy of the tale of Peter Rabbit when I was a young boy. I loved the watercolor illustrations and the small size of the book, and of course I was certain that I had some connection to this bunny named Peter. Perhaps we were related somehow. I could certainly relate to his curiosity-fueled mischievousness. I remember being truly panicked when Mr. McGregor was after him and felt badly for this naked, terrified, naughty bunny. When he got home, finally, he was put to bed with some medicinal tea. I always felt sad that poor Peter didn't get the best medicine, his mama's hug. I have a chance now to share that scene. So, that's a really interesting thing, right, about also our times and parenting. And I certainly have my own Easter Bunny kind of story that I'll share with you. But he's right. I think we were, as a society, pushed to parent our children with such strictness during those times, so much to break them rather than to teach them, to behave, to do what they're told to, and there's still a lot of that mentality. people seem to still be horrifyingly, sometimes maybe they think blissfully unaware of how neurology, especially in children, is. That they literally don't have the capacity that you are looking for. And I definitely aim that at every snarky, snobby lady that I've run into with my children when I've been out shopping, and one time or another they've had a little moment where they needed something more from me that they weren't getting, that I needed to give them, because they were struggling with wanting to get something they couldn't get, or not wanting to transition in some way, leave the store or stop touching something. You know, we're not born with these skills, and also that little brain of theirs will not be fully formed until 25 years old. So emotions are something that we all need to learn a little bit more about, as well as accept. I think it goes along with that whole stop disliking or hating who you naturally were born as, because you can't change it, and fighting it or fighting somebody else's personality is extremely pointless. And it's also quite hurtful to the parents who are struggling in that moment to try to make their child, behave, whatever that means. It's the same kind of thing as on, people who believe children don't belong in places like airplanes. Like, I can't imagine stripping just the literal humanity of a person out of them, that you don't belong here, right? Like, I think sometimes we're so advanced in our DEI type conversations, but kids often get left out of that. They get very much dehumanized, and for me, someone who's never let go of their childhood completely, as you can tell in my work and in everything I talk about with parenting, I find that really hard to deal with, because kids are our greatest thing. They're our very best version of ourselves, right? That being said, I will jump into processing this in a moment. We're going to do a couple of pages. We're going to figure out what to do with these things. But I wanted to tell you my little Easter Bunny story, which is kind of the one that leads me to like that same feeling of the connection between parent and child, which, for many of us is quite complex. Certainly for me it is. And my father, who, when he was younger, grew up in a farming family, who did many of the things that young men of that generation did, hunting, fishing, all those things. So my father did go hunting, and I remember it being relatively close to Easter when hunting season for rabbits and potentially geese, I think it's at the same time in Ontario. I could be wrong. It could have also changed in the last X number of years. But he did bring home a rabbit, and we did eat, like my parents did eat those kind of things, bear, venison from deer, all of those kind of things. I duck, all of those more wild game when I was a kid. And I just remember like being probably around 5 and going into a complete meltdown that my father had killed the Easter Bunny, and telling him I would never forgive him. I was kind of a child who had a lot of emotions on my sleeve and not a lot of leeway to express them. I'll put it that way. And I said some very serious things that normally I would just get in trouble for, but for whatever reason this time, it emotionally like stuck to him. And he no longer really went hunting after that. It has extended into his older years too. He feels, I think, the pressure of his like lifelong kind of friends in that environment, and family members who still go hunting. So a few years ago, probably like 10 years ago, he bought a tree stand, which is this sort of thing that you can stand on. You can go up a tree and climb up a tree with these spikes in your boots, and you can affix it to a tree. So you have this arguably unfair advantage over the animals, that you can stand on the top of a tree to look down on them as prey. So he also was in my youth a professional photographer, a studio photographer, and thankfully although he wanted to hang out with his friends and be part of that kind of masculinity club, he replaced the gun or the bow and arrow with a camera. So for that, I'm thankful. We never talked about it. It was just a thing. I still don't talk about it with him, but my feelings on hunting are kind of complex and probably not that different from many people who are like me, in that I feel like hunting is something that should be preserved for those people who need to do so for food. Indigenous people and people living on the brink of society in some way financially, that is an option to feed their family, or that's my feelings on things. But anyways, let's jump into Beatrix. So let's process this page today, maybe even the next one. Movie star. Alongside the original edition, The Tale of Peter Rabbit has been retold in countless other forms, from board books and bath books for babies to CD-ROMs, books on tape, even ballet and musicals for the whole family. And a 25-minute animation film has been broadcast on television stations worldwide, winning prizes and new fans for the Naughty Rabbit. So this is a little animation strip here. We've got Mr. McGregor with his rake. Mr. McGregor runs after Peter, waving a rake and calling out, "Stop, thief!" First, Peter eats some lettuces and some French beans, and then he eats some radishes. And then, looking for some parsley, he bumps into Mr. McGregor. The original and authorized edition of The Tale of Peter Rabbit. When Peter runs home, his mother puts him straight to bed. Baby onesies and booties. How it all began. Helen Beatrix Potter was born on July 28th, 1866. The Potters lived in a large house on an elegant London square. Like all well-off families at the time, they had a full staff of servants. Beatrix was brought up by a nanny and saw far less of her parents than children do today. She and her brother spent most of their time in the schoolroom on the third floor of the house. Beatrix Potter, aged 9, photographed by her father. So I'll bring that up so you can see her. Quite cute, but this is the face of that I've seen her with pretty much in a lot of photographs, and it could be the times, because photography was it took a long time back then to sit for a photo and get your photo done. But yeah, I don't think she ever felt pressured to smile, I'll say it that way, which is wonderful. This little plate here, the plaque on the site of Beatrix Potter's London home, so it says Beatrix Potter, writer and artist, 1866 to 1943, lived in a house on this site and then the dates. And it's got the little characters on the side. Bolton Gardens above, photographed by Beatrix Potter's father in 1889. The Potter's house at number 2 Bolton Gardens was destroyed by a bomb in 1940. Beatrix with her parents, Beatrix and her brother Bertram, Beatrix holding a toy rabbit with her cousin Alice Crompton, 1871. Beatrix was born in the reign of Queen Victoria. Her Majesty had 9 children. 7 appear in this portrait from 1864. Family life at the palace seems to have been more openly affectionate than it was for Beatrix and her brother Bertram. Upstairs, downstairs, life at Bolton Gardens required an army of servants. Coachmen and grooms looked after the Potters' carriages and horses at stables nearby. A housekeeper managed the domestic servants who kept the rooms spotless. A lady maid assisted Helen Potter with dressing and letters. A butler announced visitors and oversaw the kitchen and dining room, and a nurse or nanny cared for the children. So let's go through this page as well. With pen and paper, and these are the early sketches that I think are so wonderful. I love the green jacket on that rabbit with that umbrella that's blowing up in the wind. You know how your umbrella would blow backwards in that way? In Victorian society, sketching and letter writing were considered to be essential accomplishments for every well-born young lady and were part of her first lessons at home. Beatrix Potter enjoyed both of these pastimes. Her earliest surviving sketchbooks date back to 1876 when she was 9. She was already drawing rabbits. 3 letters from her childhood are addressed to her father. Beatrix would remain an avid letter writer all her life. Beatrix Potter's sketchbook in 1876 shows Scottish scenery and imaginary rabbits with umbrellas, ice skates, and sleds. And this is a little handwritten note here from Beatrix Potter to her father. "My dear Papa, I am not to go out in the garden as I have got a cold. From your affectionate daughter, H.B. Potter." In the schoolroom, although Beatrix was 6 years older than her brother Bertram, they were very close. Apart from visiting cousins, they rarely met other children. The schoolroom was their world. When Bertram was 6, he was sent away to boarding school. Beatrix continued her education at home with governesses. In 1881, at the age of 14, she began a secret journal in code. In it, she recorded the many details of her world that caught her eye and developed her style as a writer. Beatrix Potter was the storyteller. The storyteller was learning her craft. So this is Beatrix and her first governess, Miss Davidson, in 1877. Beatrix drew this corner of the schoolroom, above right here. In 1885, her pet terrapin basks in front of the fire. A little terrapin there above the turtle. A passion for pictures. So now we're getting into the artist. Although Beatrix was often alone, she was not bored or unhappy. One reason was her love of art. Her parents liked to paint, and they encouraged their children to do the same. Bertram would grow up to become an accomplished landscape painter. For Beatrix, they arranged for a drawing teacher to come to the house. So these are carnations by Beatrix Potter, age 14. Look at that beautiful detail. Carnations are not an easy flower to draw. Caricatures by Rupert Potter in 1853 show that he shared his daughter's love of drawing and her sense of fun. The English artist Millais sat with his friend Rupert Potter, far right. He's on this page. So this is Rupert Potter here, her father, while visiting the Potters in Scotland in 1880. Like father, like daughter, Rupert Potter's sketchbooks as a student are decorated with playful doodles, including dogs painting at an easel and playing the flute, and ducks in bonnets. Were his ducks the inspiration for his daughter Jemima Puddle Duck 50 years later? Drawing lessons. Beatrix followed her teacher's instructions with a mixture of gratitude and frustration. She recorded her reservations in her journal for 1883. "I am convinced it lies chiefly with oneself. Wish it did not cost so much. Is the money being thrown away? Will it ever do me harm? Mrs. A. is very kind and attentive, hardly letting me do anything." Afterward, Beatrix painted just as she liked. Helen Potter's box of watercolor paints and brushes, and this is a still life that Beatrix did in 1881. So, shall we finish this part maybe of the passion for pictures, or we leave it? Maybe I'll read through it today, but we won't tear it out. We won't deal with it because we'll get into Peter Rabbit next time. Victorian society flocked to art galleries such as the Royal Academy in London to see and be seen at the latest exhibitions. Old masters. Beatrix was 16 when her father first took her to a major exhibition. She described the paintings and her excitement in her journal. "Been to the winter exhibition of old masters at the Academy. I had been looking forward to it very much, but I never thought it would be like this. I never thought there could be such pictures." Expert encouragement. Photography was a relatively new art, but Rupert Potter was an accomplished amateur. As well as taking landscapes and family portraits, he photographed sitters for Sir John Everett Millais, a leading British painter of the time. Beatrix sometimes accompanied her father to Millais' studio. He once paid her the greatest compliment, she said, by telling her that plenty of people can draw, but you and my son John have observation. Beatrix was 10 when she drew this milkmaid feeding ducks. She copied it from a collection of nursery rhymes by the popular British illustrator Walter Crane. Among the illustrators whose work Beatrix knew and admired were Kate Greenaway, Randolph Caldecott, and Walter Crane. the art of illustration. As a child, Beatrix pored over books such as Alice in Wonderland and Uncle Remus. Later, her father took her to the latest works by top illustrators. They made a lasting impression. In 1884, he bought 2 drawings from Randolph Caldecott's A Frog. He would be a frog, he would a wooing go. Beatrix Potter's Mr. Jeremy Fisher of 1906 was a direct descendant. The White Rabbit by Sir John Tenniel from Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland of 1865. Or is it Tenniel? Yeah, so that is a bit about Beatrix for today. We'll close this book up, and now we need to do the hard part of deciding what to use and how to use it. So this is always the challenge for me when I have a 2-sided page. I need to make decisions. So certainly I want to use this little image here of our Beatrix. Then down here, similarly, I think there's value in using these framed images. The bunny, what's back here? The bunny too, perhaps. Let's just cut that whole thing out. We know we have that to use. And then over here, we can use this bunny in a watering can. I did not wreck it, thankfully. I think this is maybe the last thing that we'll use is this bit here, which I have many of this type of thing. I've got to be careful not to use the same images more than once in one of the journals. And then I'm just going to look here and see if there's any quotes or anything like that left over. I don't think so. That's good. Now this page, again, I'm going to go with the old photos first because they are just important to me. I like using those. I also would like to use this. That letter is also quite cute. I think I'm going to try to use the letter. I'm just looking over here to see. Can I cut? Yeah, I'm going to cut this down a bit. I know, like, I'm cutting off the edge of the book, but I'll make it look fine. I want to keep this carnation. Some of her father's drawings are so nice. This dog at the spinning wheel and a dog playing the flute. I think we'll go with that. The little paint box. Perhaps the paint box would be cute too. Her mother's painting box. I don't think there's anything else that I need from this. We got lots of stuff. It's good. Okay. So here we go. To begin, I think I need to figure out, I'd like to make perhaps a cabinet card for this and these. Something kind of similar to that, but maybe we'll cut the bunny out first. And I do apologize for my slightly nasally voice. I do have a little cold. It's kind of the aftermath of like this whole sinus bonanza that I've been experiencing over the last couple of weeks. I can't wait for the weather to just get nice and stay nice, because I'm always a proponent of, like, you know, saying colds don't cause, or cold weather doesn't cause colds, right? It's like a lot of people think, bundle up, you're going to get sick. But, you know, we know that many people, especially in colder parts of the world, you know, they sleep outside. They, you know, sit outside for therapeutic reasons and all of that. But I think it's kind of a bit of a blend of, like, you know, the air is drier, your immunity gets a little lower, I think, in the cold weather, and the dry air makes your passages dry and opens them up to, you know, little cuts and things that can happen that you don't even know about, that happen in your sinuses and things, and then you're apt to get more germs and things coming into your body. So okay, so now I think I will maybe start just backing a few of these. And I've got this old piece of old piece of kid art that these, I don't know if these stickers will come off. I don't think so. I'm just going to try them to see. No, they don't come off. Okay, so I'm going to use this for backing material because I want to back some of this stuff before I cut it out. Otherwise, you're essentially fussy cutting 2 times, and who needs to do that? Not me. So for those of you who watched my last video, did you check out the Potter with Patricia hashtag, or the little documentary from History, the History Network, I believe, I forget, all things history, or History Hit, because yeah, it's a lovely piece to watch. I really, really enjoyed it. I also just love Patricia Routledge. She's so cool. Okay. Maybe we'll do this as well. Had a nice day yesterday. I shared a little snippet at the end of my last video of my outing Saturday afternoon. It was quite a rainy weekend, so I did build one of my garden beds for my garden, and I took my daughter out to a local pub for an afternoon lunch and a little bit of Beatrix Potter prep and study. I did a little reading and I did some fussy cutting just to keep myself busy while my daughter was doing her little bit of homework, and then we were sketching together. She had a lovely shepherd's pie and I had a fish and chip because they have lovely halibut fish there, and it was really nice. Okay, and then this little fussy cut, I think we will just fussy cut this out, and I'll use it just as a little glue down piece for the book. For those blank pages where I want to retain some writing space, but I just want something a little interesting there. I like to cut out these things. Alright, so that'll be a good little cutout. Set that over here. Then I've got to figure out how to handle these. So I think for this one, because we're missing, we have no bottom, I'll just cut the photograph out and we'll create a little cabinet card for it. One. I'm also planning to make some really sweet pop-ups for each of the books. I want to do one pop-up, simple pop-up, which I'll show you in a video. I'm still kind of not there yet. I just have all these ideas in my head for different elements that I want to create, but not there yet. Cut this little image of her and her cousin. Just cut around the circle because we don't have the full mat. Okay. So that is all of those. And then I guess we also can cut this one, her and her governess. And then perhaps back this one as well. I have an idea for this one maybe too. Okay. This one I'll also cut out. Actually, I'll take that gold off. We'll just do the picture. Done, 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 done. These are some cutouts. So now let's cut these. This one, I think I'm going to kind of cut it into a little bit of a freeform shape. Okay. Then the little notebook and this, I think what I'll do, I'll cut these out and then I'll come back. I won't make you wait to watch me cut everything. And I'm going to get some supplies to make these into cabinet cards. So I've done a few things during the little break. I have glued down the watercolor kit here in one of the scrapbooks. This page isn't done. I think I might do some kind of a cover on this page with just a light like swatch page of actual watercolor paint that you could write on top of. And then I also added the bunny, the little cutout bunny here. Again, this page isn't done either, but it's a start. I'm thinking probably some kind of a tea-dye doily or something there would be nice. But we'll get to that when we get to it. One of the struggles is trying to like stay on task one thing at a time because I want to do 50 million things here. So I did get all of these things fussy cut out. I also took a nice green folder and cut it out into these shapes that I will use to make the cabinet cards. And I selected some frames from my little frames cutout to use with these. I might need one more set of these papers. And then also fussy cut out all these bits and they're ready to go. And I grabbed this label out of my stash. I think it might go nicely with one of these cabinet cards. So now I think I will go ahead and start assembling the cabinet cards, the homemade cabinet cards. Get rid of all this book gunk here, this side of my glue book. It's all sort of chipping away. Okay, get rid of that. Now, let's glue these into these frames. So this one I think fits quite well. Just about, I don't know, it's ever so slightly too short. So I think what I'll do is just glue it down on top of a piece of like book page that has a blank spot on it like this. Just to fill in that little tiny bit of like background. It's not really, really bad or anything, you'll see. So just tear this off. Okay, and then put this here. Just glue that down. And then I'll use art glitter glue to do the frame. But I'll also cut this down just a bit because I don't want to be trying to like fussy cut around that frame. And I think it's fine from side to side. It's just the top and bottom that need a little bit of help. Like that. So let's check how that fits now. Oh yeah, it fits actually perfectly. I didn't even need that. You can't even see that. That's okay. Sometimes it's all in just how you hold things, I guess. see if we can recreate that again here. Get that perfection we're looking for. Show that up a little, that down a little. That's what we want. Okay. See? It's so cute. Need to get my kids outside soon. They're getting a little bit wacky, to say the least. Okay, so this one, I think I will put here, like so. And then I might create like a little slit here, like those old cabinet cards. I'm just trying to think. I don't think I have a punch that would be good. I might take a look. Just give me one moment. Okay, so I don't have a punch, but I do think I know what I'd like to do. Maybe I'd like to first make this a little thinner. It doesn't need to be so large. So much background, because I don't have a lot of layers on it. I could add another oval kind of layer if I wanted to, but I don't think I will. I'm trying to keep this long one, because I want to make this sort of a interesting piece here. So this and this will go together. Then I need to cut sort of a little piece that will be, let's say 3 inches. Oops, that moved. Grr. There we go. I don't know if I can cut this down enough. We'll see. Maybe I should use a bigger piece and just cut like a strip off of it like I want, like this. I just want like a little thin strip like that. That's what I want. Set these scraps aside because I may use them still. Then this will make a little shorter. It's still a little long. Yes, that's what I want. Okay. So let's glue this on. Art glitter glue. I was watching Pam at the Paper Outpost this morning, struggling with her glue bottle with her her 3-in-1 or her Fabri-Tac beacon adhesive, and she's got it in a Sugar Bell bottle like I used to have mine, and the struggle is so real. I mean, it's such a good glue, but like it over time, it just kind of gets thicker and harder to use. Ugh, I was feeling for her. Completely feeling for her. Okay, and then this I want to glue down as well. Many cabinet cards would have like a little slot in them. I don't even really know why, to be honest. I should figure that out. But like just a little piece like this. Not all of them did, but many do. Okay, then what I want to do with this is on back here, we'll just glue. Glue this to this. Get rid of this. Okay. Then let's just cut off any excess. I think we've got a little bit here. That's better. I may want to trim that a little more. just a titch. Perfect. That's what we want, just that little shave. Check the other side too, make sure it's good. It could use a little shave as well. Okay. Then, where I've put this together, I want to bend this down to make this a little flippy part that I can use to have this attach on the page and be like a tip up so that there can be more writing hidden underneath. I then also would like to round the corners because this is a cabinet card, a faux cabinet card. Okay, good. Now I think maybe a little gilding on the edge could be cute. Where's my gilding wax? There it is. Just gonna go right around the edge here, just ever so slightly onto the card. Sorry, my son is doing something acrobatic upstairs. Not exactly sure what. Just gonna make some sort of little lines around with just what's left over here on my hand. Just gives it a little bit of magic, you know, a little bit of gold, just sparkly. Okay, so that is that. So yeah, that will attach here with glue and flip up and give you some more writing space there. So that is the first cabinet card. So I don't think I'll walk you through all of these because it's kind of going to be the similar thing, except I'm not going to make all of them flips. So I will do the rest of those in sort of the same fashion. This is bloodroot. And when you pick it, you see it turns this orange color. And it will stay in your hands, but you can also dye with it. It's called bloodroot.
Yeah, and you can get a stain from it on your clothes or your hands.
True. But the leaves are beautiful, and they also are good for eco-printing.
Yeah. There's so many shells right here. This is so nice.
Yeah, it's very beautiful.
It's like a little cave.
Yeah, it looks like a little cave, a little ecosystem of its own.
Yeah, it's like it's so lives there, moving on the floor.
Okay, so now I think what I'll do is I will just ink around these little bits that I've cut out of the book. Just to kind of give them a little bit of age. And I left the little carnations by Beatrix Potter at the bottom there. I thought that would be nice. Okay. Then her father's little dog drawing here. It's so cute. Definitely see where she got the concepts from with her dad's art. Okay, so those little bits. Let's put a couple of things in the little book. And perhaps something in one of the scrapbooks. Okay, not this one. Let's get this one. Okay. Maybe we need a pocket on here. Maybe I'll use the upper tuck spot like that. And we could do this little, oops, you can't see this, I'm sorry. There we go. We could do the little letter here and this as an upper tuck spot, because I think this will make, like, we'll have a lower and a higher kind of tuck spot on this envelope, because it'll make it more like a scrapbook page, right? But I'll be able to put something in there for writing space. Let's put those in. Okay, so that's good for this book for now, maybe. Do I want to put, actually, the cabinet card? I love it on this color. Yeah, and then I think I'll do some kind of a pocket down here. So this will be that tip-up writing space. I like this green folder color with this purple background. It's really pretty. Okay, so then this can go here. And then I'll figure out the pocket part later, because I think the other things I want to put into the little book, which is over here. Okay, little book. So maybe we'll begin here on the first page. Maybe this like that, or the red might be nice with those little red carrots. So let's go with that as our tuck spot. Then we'll move to the next signature here. And I need something for here because there's a bit of writing there. And I like that on the brown paper. Kind of the more primitive early, you know, drawings go with that brown paper. And then the next signature, we'll use her dad's little dog card here. Maybe just here as a little tuck spot. Good. So that gets a few things in the book. Sorry, I'll move this up so you can see. There we go. Don't know if I want to put a little, perhaps a little label. Those are too big. Sorry, I'm trying to grab these little tiny. Maybe this little one would be cute. Just adds a little something. Okay. So I think this shall wrap up our wander with Beatrix Potter for today. I have to plan my day. I'm going to take a walk of some kind somewhere, and I am going to probably go see a movie with my daughter. So I hope all of you have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you again very soon. Bye for now.
And look at this ecosystem.
Yeah. Beaver.
I want to pick it, but no. I wish I could pick it, but no.